I made a horror game and disguised it as kid-friendly.
Nobody wants to play scary games. Only 8% of people prefer them. This website ranked idle games.
Yo, I'll be honest, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. A lot of scary games don't even have good plots. Most of them focus on jump scares than an actual good story. But a good horror game with good jump scares is really good.
Horror games. Fine. If people don't choose to play a scary game, I'll trick them into playing it by making a game that seems normal to lure you in. But if you keep playing, you discover it's really a horror game.
I ain't gonna lie, this is terrible though. Just imagine all the little kids you giving nightmares just because you made it seem family friendly.
It takes place at your grandma's house, so I started making that. I want to give it cute graphics, something like this to lure in the non-horror fans. But once they're hooked, the graphics become scary. Now, normally most things I model myself turn out really bad, but this one also turned out really bad. I can't do this. Instead, I'm just gonna use an asset pack with a bunch of house parts, and when I throw them all together, we get this. Okay, I know it looks like a Lego from the outside, but on the inside, it has a kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom, and a basement. But I'll add a few more things later. The goal is for the starting area to seem relaxing, and I think this place gets the job done. But if you keep playing...
Is it easy to make a Roblox game? If I had no knowledge of making a Roblox game, can I just do it overnight? Or is this something that you low-key kind of need like a degree? Not necessarily a degree, but experience for. I want to make a Roblox game, I ain't gonna lie. What would be a good idea for a Roblox game? Hear me out. A Tinder Roblox game where people of all ages could participate. No, what could go wrong, right? What could go wrong? Tinder Roblox. 13 plus. What's the worst thing that could happen, right? It's not like there's gonna be any preds. There's no way, right?
The house should become scary. So make a copy of this house, but scary. I took realistic house materials, which may or may not have been from an asset pack,
$99 for a realistic house?
and lined it up to match each part of the house perfectly. This way, every single thing in the starting house had a corresponding realistic version. So I could delete this chair and replace it with this chair. And in the game, it would happen fast enough that no one would notice. After repeating this process for literally every item in the house, I went in-game to test it and everything lined up, so we had a scary version of the house. But
so like as you're playing a kid-friendly game, it just switches and makes it a horror house. That's genius. That's genius. You deserve to get slurped under the table for that.
I felt like it was still missing something. So I added post-processing effects, which made a huge difference to the atmosphere. Also, if you look out the window, there's nothing there. So I added a forest to each house and gave them each their own sky. Even though you never go outside in this game, I loved how it turned out.
No, this is actually genius. Wait, but how is he actually gonna get the reactions from the people playing this game? That would actually be so neat.
But more importantly, the inside looked so much better, and this place was actually scary now. I also made a secret room in the basement where I plan on adding some cool stuff later in the video. So now we have a cute and scary version of the same house.
Fine.
Right now, you can switch between the houses all you want, but this won't work. We need to get the player invested in the first house and make them believe this is what the game is about. Then we can switch them over to this house. I'm thinking if I make the grandma, she can give stuff for the player to do to keep them invested. I made a model which surprisingly
Don't make me act up now.
it wasn't even that bad, and painted on the textures to keep with the art style. After a little bit, we had this. Yeah, she looks nice. I threw her in the game, and not only was she 12 feet tall, she was also way scarier than I wanted. If that was my grandma, I would ask God for a new one.
This is not scary, but I ain't gonna lie, put a texture pack on her ass and make her disappear like the house or transform like the house. This is gonna be amazing.
Anyway, when you talk to her, she says,
Hello, darling. I'll make cookies. Why don't you start a fire and watch TV while you wait? I don't care what you do. Just leave me alone, you little shit.
so you light the fire and head down to the basement to watch TV. I'm gonna attempt to make a horror game in 24 hours. Yeah, this show sucks. After some time, you find out Grandma burned the cookies like an idiot. So since it stinks so bad, she tells you to go around the house and light candles. And now we can finally start the transition into the scary house. There's 3 candles, and if you light all of them, you get switched over to the realistic house. But the sudden jump from one house to another looked really bad. And we all know that having a seamless transition is super important. So to fix the transition, when you light a candle, the other house will flash in for a second. And on the last candle, the screen fades, so the transition is a lot cleaner. Later, we'll make the grandma realistic and
No,
try
that's
to
actually tough. That little shake with the sound effect. Oh, no, he's him. He's actually him. He's actually him, bro.
kill you when the house changes. So the player needs some way of escaping, but how? Well, I have ideas for 3 different puzzles for the player to solve while running from the grandma, and completing the last one will send you back to the original house. So let's do those now. I want the first puzzle to be getting into the secret basement room I was talking about earlier. Since it was right next to the bookshelf, I decided that pulling on one of the books would open the wall. Original, I know. With some code, I got the wall to move, but it looked really bad. So I tried to make dust particles.
Y'all think AI could do this? If I told AI to do it, to give me a step-by-step tutorial on how to make a kid-friendly disguise as a horror game, y'all think they're gonna let me know? I don't know, bro. Shout out to the people who make games and shit, 'cause I swear to God, things like this would tire me. I understand, like, you gotta do YouTube tutorials and then you just get better at things, but looking at this just pisses me off, bro. Anything that has too much numbers, I hate it.
Particles that fall from the wall to sell this point. And as someone who's never made particles before, what the fuck. But after a tutorial, I got the particles looking okay. And combined with the screen shake, the effects were really subtle, but it helped. But then I realized that the player will never find this random book on a random bookshelf out of this entire house. There needs to be some kind of hint for the player to tell them where to go. How am I
Pull this book. Yo, shout out to the games that actually give us hints after we look clueless, bro. I love that. Start making games fun by just giving you hints if you're actually lost, because one thing that annoys me and will dead ass make me not play a game is one that I'm like lost in for 30 minutes, especially if the game not even that good.
gonna tell them about this book? Another book. I added this journal that you can find in your grandma's room. And I thought I could write a poem in here to tell the player
My annoying grandkid is coming over to visit tomorrow. Lord, take me now.
where to go. I suck at writing, but I really didn't want to use ChatGPT, so I just used a thesaurus and rhyme zone for like every word, and I made this. Beneath the earth, where darkness lurks, upon a shelf. Yeah, this is cheeks. Anyway, when you read the poem and get to the bookshelf, you can finally get to the secret room. And your hard work is rewarded with nothing. Okay, so I'm thinking the second puzzle goes in here, and my idea for this is a safe that you have to find the code for. But if you've got a good eye, you might have noticed that there's nothing here, so we need to make a safe. After what happened last time I tried to model something, I really wasn't sure about this, but I feel like it didn't even turn out that bad. I mean, it's just a box, it's pretty hard to mess that up. We are gonna need to fix these colors though, so I need to buy a texturing software. I'm sure I'll be able to find one for a reasonable price from a virtuous and honest organization.
$200 for the safe? My boy, you the method. You built a whole house for $99. Now they got you $200 for the safe? Oh my goodness, buddy, you're contributing to their safe. I ain't gonna lie, this is absurd. Unless you have microtransactions for the game, you're not making shit back. Hold on, I can actually tell y'all how much money he made from this video. YouTube pays about $5,000 per million views. 5 times 8, he made 40 bands for this video. Oh, never mind. My boy did good. My boy did good.
So I textured the safe and it worked really well and looked good in the game. But now I have to come up with a password to unlock it. I decided the best way to give the player the password was by using more books. There was this TV stand with 4 empty boxes in it, and since the code is going to be 4 digits, I felt like this was the perfect opportunity.
Ha! Yo, imagine if the code was like 67.
So I filled it with books, and by counting them 1, 3, 1, 2, you can get the code to the safe. And you've successfully earned yourself nothing. I never really thought about what goes in here, and by using 100% of my brain power, I decided the best thing to put in there was a log. Huh? Yes, really. So once you collect the log, you can put it in the fireplace and jump in, which ends the game. But this idea
You gotta jump in fire for the game to end? Buddy, you're losing me halfway in. What happened to the grandma, bro? If anything, what would have made this game much more horrific is if the grandma transformed and you have to like hide from her as you're doing these objectives. That's really horrifying. You feel me? Bro, I need to create a game. I'm a genius.
sucks. It doesn't really make sense, the ending sequence looks horrible, and the log just looks like a steaming pile of shit. But most importantly, it would end the game before you even get to the third puzzle. So I decided to put a key in there instead. Now it won't work on the front door, mostly because the outside of the house isn't there. But the inside is there, so I added a new door upstairs. And when you unlock this, so I built an attic and decided this is where I'll put the third and final puzzle. Since the game started with candles, I wanted it to end with candles. So that's what this puzzle is all about. I put 3 picture frames on the wall and a candle underneath each of them. Then I took 3 random screenshots like this one of the kitchen table and put them in the frames. So you're probably wondering how this is a puzzle. Well, you have to find which of these pictures is fake. 2 of these pictures are real places you can go up to and find in the house. like the kitchen table, but one of them is a random corner I made out in the middle of nowhere. Your job is to find out which one is fake, and if you get it right, you go back to the original house and live happily ever after. But if you get it wrong, you die. But we're still not done. 3 minutes and 41 seconds ago, I said, later, we'll make the grandma realistic and try to kill you when the house changes. So we still have to make the realistic and scary grandma. I started with this old lady, and first I cut off her legs and threw a cloth on her to make her look
Bro, you should have done this when the house transformed, because then you have to hide from her as you're doing these objectives. But now I ain't gonna lie, this is genius.
like a ghost. But I didn't like this because then we wouldn't get to see her old granny feet. I started over with the same starting point, but this time I made the arms and legs super long and creepy. But now we have two problems. One, she looks like an Enderman, and two, she's naked. Oh my god! In my other game,
Since when was that a problem? Don't act feisty now. There's no running away. I don't care if that cooch sagging to the floor.
games, I just make the enemy naked, but I don't think I can do that for a grandma. I thought about it though.
Are you serious, my brother?
I tried using a cloth like from earlier, but that didn't work. Then I tried this sewing thing, but it looked horrible and made my computer want to cry. I just made it by hand instead. And even though I have no experience with this, I eventually created the greatest shirt to have ever been worn. Alright, it wasn't that good, so I added
Bro, why is grandma wearing a bulletproof vest? Do you have like a gun in the game?
some rips in the shirt to make her look more like a crackhead. And I added pants. Also, she's bald. So I used Blender's hair system, which was actually pretty cool. And after that, the model was finished. Yeah, she looked beautiful.
What would you rate this girl on a scale 1 through 10?
What the f? I look like a f***ing lizard.
But the colors make her look like a Simpson, so let's fix that. I started with a couple pre-made textures for the main parts. But honestly, she just looked like a normal grandma who's balding and has poor dental hygiene. So I added dirt, scratches, and whatever this is, and now she looks like she just got run over. Nice. The crash must have left her injured because now
Okay, why is she gliding like that? Come on, gang, put realistic walking effects.
she can't move any of her limbs. Okay, but for real, we need to make a walking animation. I'm sure it can't be too hard. Alright, so we're just gonna use this animation, but
That ain't that bad. That's not that bad.
now she's quit. I didn't want to make this game a running simulator, so instead of making the player faster, I want to add the ability to hide because a lot of other games do that. Luckily, there are already tons of places that will work for that. So I wrote some code and it worked perfectly with absolutely no problems at all.
Does it not fascinate y'all that you could put like a couple of numbers and letters and that does things? Like, bro, whenever I heard the term code, I'm like, you mean I could put numbers on a screen and it's gonna do something? That's what's frying me, bro. What do you mean he put a couple of numbers and now he could hide in a box?
After a completely reasonable amount of time debugging, you could hide under tables, desks, or in boxes. Now the game was more fair, so the only thing left was the jump scare when you get caught. So I added the usual jump scare stuff and played with a couple different animations.
Yo, Granny getting freaky. Hold on. Last time I seen a lady put her hands back, it wasn't for any scary purposes. I'll let you know that. I don't know what you got Granny doing when she catch you, but I don't think she's trying to haunt you.
Like this one. And normally I'd grab a sound effect from YouTube, but this time I want to make one myself because I have a point to prove. I think that no matter what it sounds like, it'll work as a jump scare as long as it's loud, even if it's the most random sound ever. So if I take this scream, some white noise, and the Taco Bell, I think it'll work as a jump scare sound. I've never made a sound from scratch like this, but I felt pretty cool turning these knobs. I may not know what they do, but I do know they're turned all the way up. It didn't take long to realize that this was a bad idea. The sounds were completely transformed, but just listen.
I'm sorry, I don't hear the Taco Bell sound. I think that was the only thing that I was trying to hear and I couldn't hear it.
But screw it, I'm gonna put it in the game anyway
never
and
mind.
prove that loud equals scary. Well, now the jump scare's done, and it's... I'll make an apology video soon. Okay, maybe I was wrong. So I replaced the sound
You could just have the first sound effect. The first one sounded good. Don't add the Taco Bell sound.
effect with an actually good one. Then I added a 1 in 1,000 chance where she just punches you instead of jump scaring you, and
That's actually much better.
I still have no idea why I did this. I added a few more minor things to the game, like if you get the code wrong on the safe, it makes a sound that alerts the grandma. I'm gonna keep working on this game, so subscribe to see the update video. And while
I'm not gonna lie, this was a really good creative video. I wish he had the game up so we could actually play it, because I feel like that would be so smart. But anyways, YouTube, that is the horror game that is disguised as kid friendly. Very interesting concept. I feel like he should actually release it, or I feel like other games should do the same thing. I feel like that would definitely be interesting. Make sure you guys subscribe to the gaming channel. Uploads coming damn near every day. Let me know what game you guys want me to play next. Join us on Twitch, all that good stuff, man. Boxer for life. Love y'all.